What's going on, everybody? Welcome to today's video. Reacting to Big Ol' Bass Guitar Shootout by Riffs, Beards, and Gear. So what's going on, everybody? Today we're going to be reacting to Big Ol' Bass Guitar Shootout by Riffs, Beards, and Gear. If you have not already, please go and give them a sub right now. Fantastic channel. Everybody just knows the man is Fluff, but the channel is actually called Riffs, Beards, and Gear. So go and give our man Fluff a sub if you haven't already. Again, if you're watching this channel and you haven't subbed to this guy, like, what the hell's going on here? So again, yeah. And as well, I've also included the link for the original video in the description down below. Please click on that and give that a like as well. And on this video, my video, leave a comment on what you'd like to see me react to next, and let us be getting to it.
Call me Fluff, and today on Riffs, Beards, and Gear, we're going to shoot out a couple of bass guitars.
Bass.
So I recently went and caught the Deftones on their current tour, and I was struck by how crazy good bassist Fred Sablin's bass tone was, right? And then I saw he was playing what looked to be regular old P basses, and that got my gears turning. And over the course of the show, I came up with a thought process and a video idea in that it's crazy how well a bass from 1951 can sit in all sorts of genres of music. And then I got to thinking,
except for the bass that came out in 1951 was more of the classic P bass that had that tiny single coil pickup on it. Wasn't quite exactly the same thing, but was close. But the actual P bass pickup that we know, I think that came out later 50s, early 60s, I think. But no, still, the P bass is an absolute banger classic that works for just about everything, even though it's technically really simple as all hell. One pickup, one volume, one tone. That's it. That's all it needs with the right player.
what are the kind of the pillars of bass tones as it pertains to literally just about every genre? And I came up with 3, and we're gonna shoot out those 3 today. And before we go any further, this video is brought to you by the fine folks over at Sweetwater. They sent me a couple of the basses that I needed to do this video. Shout out to them. If you are a touring professional, gigging, weekend warrior, or just someone who likes to sit there and plunk away on a bass at home, please consider sweetwater.com. They have all of your needs, whether it's artistic or hobbyist and everything in between. All thoughts and opinions are mine. So when it comes to bass guitars and bass guitar tones, I think you can boil it down to 3 bass guitars that have transcended genre and time.
The P, the J, and the Ray. It's got to be the P, the J, and the Ray. The holy trinity of Leo Fender, right? The P bass, the jazz bass, and the Stingray. Got to be that.
And you see these 3 bass guitars pretty much everywhere, used across all styles of player, technique, sound, band setting. It doesn't really matter. They can really do it all, and they have withstood the test of time. That is, of course, the Fender P bass, the Fender jazz bass, and the Music Man Stingray bass. Yep. I think those 3 basses above all other ones have really transcended everything and can be used and have been used in all manners of music, aggressive or not. Now, I'm not saying they're the only game in town. Of course not. Shout out to Rickenbacker and Spectre, and there's loads and loads of bass guitar tones that are equally as famous. However,
he is not wrong at all. Those three are the big ones. Those are the heavy hitters. Come on. No recordings have, more recordings in history have had those basses on it than anything else. The P bass alone is the most recorded bass guitar in history. There's no doubt about that whatsoever. Jazz bass isn't too far behind, and the Ray has to be not too far behind that either. He's not wrong at all. Those are, and like he said too, 1,000,000%. Different players from different styles and everything. Not everybody that has a Stingray was a funk slap player. Not everybody that played a jazz bass played jazz. It's, yeah.
When you objectively look at the tones and the recorded music that have used either a P bass, jazz bass, or Stingray bass, those far outweigh everything else. And that's why I think those are the three pillars of bass guitar tone. So as someone who records himself quite a bit playing bass, I have normally always stuck to just kind of Stingrays for obvious reasons. I'm a Music Man artist, and I think the Stingray is one of the most versatile basses I have ever played in my entire life, and I love them, and I have several of them. However, I had to wonder, well, would I really be gaining anything by using something else, or would I even notice a difference in the context of one of my own mixes? And that's what we are going to find out today. Now, as far as similarities between all three basses, they are all 34-inch scale. They are also made of alder, and that's basically where the similarities end. Now, the P bass is a single coil split pickup design. Of course, there is a single volume and a single tone. It's a very, very simple and effective bass. With the Fender Jazz bass, you have two single coils that are voiced a little different, and they sound obviously a little different, and the controls are slightly different, as well as you have independent volume controls for each pickup and a global tone. And then you got the Stingray. Now, a stock Stingray Special is an 18-volt active bass, and this has a 3-band EQ, bass, middle, and treble, as well as a volume control. Now, I'm using a single humbucker model, which is the base model, because they do also offer twin humbucker models. But the humbucker is much, much louder and has a dramatically higher output than the single coils from both Fenders. So that is something to consider. However, for this shootout, I will be setting the EQ for the bass.
The main thing is, the main reason the Stingray is that much hotter is because it's active. I'm absolutely sure that that's not to say that there's not P basses and jazz basses that are, I keep on saying P basses, but for anybody that's new, precision bass, P bass, J bass, jazz bass. The ones that he's shooting it out against, I'm fairly positive are both passive. That's why he's getting a hotter signal. Now, there is precision basses and jazz basses that do have active circuitry in them, but for the most part, they are passive.
Bass, middle, and treble at noon. No cut, no boost, right up the middle at the detent in the pots. So I will not be boosting treble frequencies and mid frequencies or anything like that. Straight up the middle, flat. Now, all three basses do have maple necks. However, I will note that the Music Man has an ebony board and the Fenders do not. But basically, these are all representative of the regular, straight up USA versions of their respective lines. Okay, so I know there is a P bass with a jazz, there's a P and J pickup combination that you can get. There's all sorts of deluxe versions. There's active versions of both Fender models as well. There's also a passive version of the Ernie Ball Music Man. However, I feel like these three examples are indicative of the most common configuration of their respective models, if that makes sense. Absolutely. So let's go ahead and hear these three basses in the context of a mix. I will be flipping through in real time the different basses in and out of the mix. I will note on screen which one you are hearing, and then we'll do a second round and we will drop the band out and we will hear just the basses by themselves, and we will A, B, and C those. And then we're going to come back, and then we're going to talk about it.
Now, in a mix like this, without hearing it soloed out, and just like you said, in a mix, the whole point is in a mix. It sounds like there's a wall of high gain guitars behind him. He's probably doing 4 overdubs of guitars, not just doubling those distorted rhythm guitars. Because with that and the drums going like that, it's really hard to tell the difference in tone between the two. It really is. It's an extremely guitar-dominated mix with drums just going on all cylinders. But soloed out, we'll probably hear something considerably different. But again, that was his whole point. In the mix. Difference in tone there. Now, don't get me wrong, you can hear it if you're really conscious of it and you're really listening, but it's negligible in the full mix. I'm sure soloed out, it's gonna be like, oh, night and day difference. Oh, big time difference. But yeah, you can hear some, but very negligible to my ears, at least. And again, everybody, with anything that's doing some actual tonal comparison, get some high-quality earbuds or actual headphones when watching videos like this or watching it on an actual sound system. The little speakers on your phone, no, it's not going to do any of this justice at all. Sounds like a P bass. I mean J bass. Wow. I meant to say. Oh yeah. Soloed out, big time difference. Soloed out, it's night and day with every one of these instruments. That's so obviously a P bass there. And obviously a J. Yeah,
so what do I think? You know, the P and J bass are so good and they sit so well. It's crazy how much the P bass cuts through literally everything because it has that mid-range plunkiness that cuts through no matter if you're tuned in E standard or, drop A. It really doesn't matter with that bass. It's about the pickup, it's about the placement, and it just sounds so classic.
A P bass just cuts. It's got that mid-range honk that you really hear it throughout the mix too, as well as just feeling it from the lows. But yeah, that's why a lot of engineers, sound engineers, just love a P bass. They know how to make that sit in the mix. They've mixed a P bass God knows how many times, especially if they're pros. They just know, okay, you got a P bass, great. Let's just go that direct into the board and off we go, Bob's your uncle.
And it's classic for a reason. It's useful in every scenario. Me personally, I really like the jazz bass because it actually reminds me a lot of the 90s punk rock that I grew up listening to. And then you have the Stingray bass. Now the Stingray bass can do it all. it can do either one of those basses, the P or J basses. Obviously, it is active and it requires batteries. It is also $1,000 more than the basses used in this video. Now, it is dramatically more versatile than the P and J basses, and really I feel like it's its own thing because it does have, sonically speaking, this upper end brightness that is very, very nice and pleasing. It has the mid range, but it's not that scooped as, say, the jazz bass.
My opinion on this is this. A lot of people have always said, I can only have one bass, but I have it down to a P bass or a jazz bass. It's a lot that is down to what type of music, what type of players do you like. But I've always said this. You can make a P bass, you can make a jazz bass kind of sound like a P bass. But you can't make a P bass sound kind of like a jazz bass. If you've got a jazz bass, kill your bridge pickup and then your neck pickup, turn the tone in half. It sounds pretty freaking close to a P bass. But a P bass, you can't get that much more bright, the nice bright that you have from a jazz bass. And for myself, if it was going to be just one or the other, luckily we don't live in a world where I have to choose just one bass. Can you imagine that? You can only have one? What? I want all of them. But no, if I had to choose between just one or the other, it would be a jazz bass. But then again, my style lends itself to a lot more slap bass and stuff like that. That, you know, having the two jazz pickups and that tone will give a lot more brightness. You can take away the brightness and make it sound more bottomy, but you can't take something that's just that bottomy and mid-rangey and make it that much more bright. It would take a lot of post-processing to do it. That's just my take on it. And the Ray, much like Fluff, our man here, said, yeah, the Ray is its Stingray. I just call it a Ray for short sometimes. It's really just its own thing. It is quite versatile, but it is also an instrument with only one pickup. There is two pickup versions of it, but like he said, the most classic one has that nice active preamp on it with bass, mid, and treble that you can boost or cut. But, you know, yeah, it's just one pickup. So, you know, take from it what you will.
Right? So really, it just depends on your personal preference and your own individual flavor that you're going for. I love all of them. I really, really do. This has been eye-opening for me personally because I was able to sit here and just play with the bass tones and kind of see what it added or didn't add to the mix. Yeah, they're all great. What do you think? What is your favorite bass guitar tone? What do you prefer to hear and what do you prefer to play? Leave a comment down below. Shout out to sweetwater.com for supporting and sponsoring this video. And with that, you've been wonderful. I've been Fluff. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time.
All right, so that was reacting to Big Old Bass Guitar Shootout by Riffs, Beards, and Gear. If you haven't already, please go and give Fluff from Riff, Beards, and Gear a sub. I've also included the link for the original video in the description down below. Please go and click on that and give his video a like as well. And on this video, my video, leave a comment on what you'd like to see me reacting to next. Thanks for checking out this video. If you like what you saw, please subscribe, click the notification bell, like, comment, and share. It doesn't cost a thing and would really help out the channel. Also, please subscribe to my other channel, GK Mac Music, for some live looping live streams with a side of jackassery, some original music, and some short content, also with a side of jackassery. If you'd like to help out the channel financially, you can buy some merch at the merch store, or you can become a channel member. As always, everyone, thanks so much for your continued support. Do what makes you happy.